Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers EMT protocols, mental disorders, and officer duties, and is brought to us by Maureen Boyle Quinn's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the interaction. On the night of September 9th, 2018, several 911 callers reported that 26-year-old Paul Tarasuk Jr. was naked and walking along Interstate 95 in Orangeburg, South Carolina. Orangeburg County Sheriff's Deputy Clifford Dorosky made contact with Mr. Tarasuk after he was seen climbing onto an 18-wheeler. When Deputy Dorosky first encountered Mr. Tarasuk, he made a series of nonsensical statements and then fell silent. Deputy Dorosky then called for EMS to evaluate Mr. Tarasuk.
Hey, come over here. Hey, the ambulance is over here. Come on. We're trying to get you help, bud. Go over and see the girls in the ambulance. Come on. Come on. Go over and see the girls in the ambulance. They're going to get you the help. They just want to check your vitals. That's all they're going to do. Come on. That's all they're going to check your vitals. Make sure everything's okay. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Sit down. Sit down. So you will have to talk to us. All right? What's your name? Yeah, the little kid. Give me the little kid. You speak English? Hey. Hey.
That's all. Again, 1 minute he's head up, eyes up, looking around. Next minute, head down.
Give me some of me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Get ready to wake up. Oh, pleasure. Or you want me to have pleasure? Pop it. Right. Breathe that in. Here. Talk to me. Talk to me. If you don't want it up your nose, then talk to me. Stop acting stupid. You're a grown man.
At this point, the paramedics are unsure of Mr. Tarasuk's condition, but choose to administer an ammonia smelling salt. Smelling salts are inhalant chemical compounds which are generally used to arouse consciousness, and are typically used on athletes who have been dazed or knocked unconscious to restore consciousness and mental alertness. Although exposure to large quantities of ammonia can be deadly, smelling salts are relatively harmless. However, the EMS responders had no medical basis for administering the ammonia, and it appears as though it was used as a means of invoking a response from Mr. Tarasuk. It is advised that the inhalant should be held about 4 inches away from the nose and the vapor slowly inhaled until the patient awakens or no longer feels faint, and to avoid direct contact with the skin. But the paramedics insert the capsule directly into Mr. Tarasuk's nostril.
What's going on? Don't shrug your shoulders and do your hands. Tell me. Open your mouth and talk to me. What's going on? Why are they out here on the interstate with you? Say. Hello? Hello? I'm not playing. What's your name?
Give me a hand. Hand.
What's your name? What's your name? Hello? What's your name?
He's breathing right in. Yeah, he is. 124.99.
Smelling salts work by irritating the mucous membranes of the nose and lungs and triggering an involuntary inhalation reflex. Typically, smelling salts induce a dramatic reaction from the inhaler. Here are a few examples of a normal reaction to smelling salts.
Oh my god!
The Orangeburg paramedics acknowledge the fact that Mr. Tarasuk is inhaling the ammonia without reacting, but fail to recognize his lack of a reaction as a symptom of a more serious medical condition. This was a detrimental error because Mr. Tarasuk suffers from schizoaffective disorder, which is a chronic mental health condition characterized primarily by symptoms of schizophrenia, such as hallucinations or delusions, and symptoms of a mood disorder, such as mania and depression. Symptoms of schizoaffective disorder include hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, depressed moods, and manic behavior. Although schizoaffective disorder is manageable through medication and psychotherapy, and many of the sufferers of the illness are able to maintain a normal life, but those affected may experience outbursts of psychotic behavior, which is exactly what is happening to Mr. Tarasuk.
What's your name? Huh? You can talk.
Hey, speak English?
Yes.
Yes.
I think I'm transferring before. What's your name?
I'm gonna give that a minute. All right. We gotta get your name.
Over the course of the next few minutes, the paramedics attempt to convince Mr. Tarasuk to tell them his name with a complete disregard for professional bedside manner.
All right, so check this out. Can you please tell us your name so you can take this out your nose?
I just want to go to the substation and go to sleep. So if you tell me your name, we'll let you go so I can go back to bed. Give me your name so I can go home, for real. I'm tired. I know you know what we're talking about. You're sitting there laughing. Tell us your name, please. Can you please tell us your name? I really like to go home, for real.
Paramedics operate based on a state-mandated medical protocol algorithm which begins with a universal patient care protocol and transitions to an appropriate scenario-specific protocol. The South Carolina State Protocol for an Altered Mental Status outlines symptoms which could indicate the presence of a psychological disorder, including decreased mental status or lethargy, changes in baseline mental status, and bizarre behavior, all of which Mr. Tarasuk blatantly displayed, but the paramedics failed to respond to. The protocol recommends a series of examinations that paramedics should employ, but throughout this entire interaction, paramedics fail to transition to any protocol beyond the universal patient care. In fact, at no point in the interaction is the possibility of a mental health condition considered or mentioned.
Do you want to go home? Or do you want to go to the hospital? Or do you want to go to jail? Choice is yours. I can provide any of the three. So where you want to go? So where you want to go?
I like shopping.
Hello? Where you want to go?
These ladies can't be out here all night like this. None of us can.
And the longer you don't talk,
You're tying up a lot of resources. We're trying to help you. Okay? If you don't want to go to the hospital, you can go with me. Those are your choices.
Talking in about the next 5 minutes.
It's going to be less than that, because I've been playing this game for far too long. I've been very patient with you. We want to get you some help. That's all we want. Okay? Do you want to go to the hospital? Because if not, you're going with me. That's how I'm going to solve this problem.
Had Mr. Tarasuk's condition been properly diagnosed, South Carolina Code 44-17-410 states that a person may be admitted to a public or private hospital, mental health clinic, or mental health facility under emergency conditions by a person stating a belief that the individual has a mental illness, and because of this condition, there is a likelihood of serious harm to himself or others if not immediately hospitalized. Given that Mr. Tarasuk was found climbing onto a semi-truck naked and riding on the truck approximately 4 miles before the trucker stopped and dialed 911, it is clear that he is a danger to himself and that his behavior should be monitored. Code 44-17-410 would have granted the EMTs or Deputy Dorowski the authority to admit Mr. Tarasuk to a mental health facility or local hospital, despite his ambiguous refusal to go willingly.
I'm a patient man, but I've been out here for a long time.
160 over 78.
What's your name?
All right, hold on. Let's try something a little different. Hand me a piece of paper.
What's your name? It doesn't matter what language he speaks. He can speak his name.
Right. What is...
He's not.
No. But if he don't want to talk, he can read.
He understood what I said. He read my lips.
He's laughing with us. He knows what we talking about. Yeah, see.
What's your name?
Pudding, you asked me again, I tell you the same.
What are you looking at me for? You full of shit, bro.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. What's your
All right.
name?
You don't want to talk to us? Yes or no? We know you can talk. We know you can understand us. You know, you got to be real with us. What is your
Shake
name?
your head, or if you do,
Okay.
you don't.
Do you want to go to the hospital? Yes or no? Do you want to go to jail?
Well, those are your two
Then
choices.
come on, I'm gonna give you a ride. You don't want to go to the hospital, Leo? So let's go. His vitals are good, ladies?
Yes.
All right.
Have a nice day.
Come on. I'm gonna give you a ride. Do not walk on the interstate. Walk right on the shoulder road. You're not going to jail. You're not under arrest. I'm gonna give you a ride. I ain't giving you a ride to jail because I was gonna give you a ride to jail, you'd be in handcuffs. You're not in handcuffs. You're not under arrest. I'll figure out where you live. Give you a ride to a safe environment. That's all I want. I want to make sure you're all right. That's why I get EMS down here. Check your vitals, make sure you're okay. Hop on in, we'll get you a ride. You put your seatbelt on for me?
Deputy Dorowski drove Mr. Tarasuk approximately 15 miles and dropped him off at a closed gas station on the edge of the Orangeburg County line with no phone, no clothes, and no way of knowing where he was. Mr. Tarasuk was struck by a car along the same highway he was picked up at and pronounced dead at the scene by the same EMT responders who had allowed him to go free a few hours earlier. A toxicology report from the Orangeburg County Coroner's Office revealed that Mr. Tarasuk had no drugs in his system. According to his obituary, Mr. Tarasuk had just graduated from the North Jersey School of Dog Grooming in Chatham, received a meritorious award from the New Jersey State Police, a letter from President Barack Obama, and was the 2010 Citizen of the Year from the Hunterdon County 200 Club for saving an elderly woman from driving down the wrong side of a highway. 3 months after the incident, the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control issued a consent order finding that EMTs Allison Harmon and Jamie Givens failed to properly care for Mr. Tarasuk. Miss Harmon was stripped of her EMT certification and eventually fired. Miss Givens was suspended for 6 months and ordered to retake her certification test within 12 months of the completed suspension. No publicly disclosed disciplinary action was taken against Deputy Dorowski. In May, the State Law Enforcement Division opened an investigation into the incident, but no criminal charges have been brought forth. Mr. Mr. Tarasuk's family is consulting with attorneys to pursue legal action. Overall, the Orangeburg County EMTs get an F for ignoring obvious symptoms of mental instability that they were trained to identify, failing to follow the appropriate medical protocol, and displaying an overall lack of concern for Mr. Tarasuk. This interaction is a prime example of the practical shortcomings associated with the mental health system, particularly at the level of first responders. The sheer lack of compassion and professionalism demonstrated here is a testament to the grander issues facing this country's mental health care epidemic. And while it could be argued that this interaction is an isolated incident, it is no secret that our current system is inherently flawed. Restructuring the current system is a massive undertaking and vitally important to a major percentage of the American population. And while first responders may bear only a small fraction of that burden, it seems like a good place to start. Deputy Dorosky gets an F for lacking the patience, initiative, and civic vigilance to ensure the proper care was given to Mr. Tarasuk. Law enforcement officers derive their authority from the civilians that they are sworn to protect, and within the scope of that authority is the duty to act as a steward of their community and secure the safety of the individuals within it. Deputy Dorosky's neglect for Mr. Tarasuk's safety directly contributed to his death, and anyone with the moral capacity to leave a confused and disoriented citizen on the side of the highway in the middle of the night should not be granted the authority to protect and serve the public. Mr. Tarasuk's story is deeply concerning, and there is more information about this interaction that I was not able to include in this video. I highly recommend checking out the description section of this video and taking a closer look at this encounter. Mr. Tarasuk's family have set up a GoFundMe and a Facebook page, which I have also linked in the description. Let us know if there's an interaction or legal topic you would like us to cover in the comments below. Be sure to check out our Patreon page for uncensored, ad-free, and exclusive episodes. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.